this is nothing compared to what we're used to. I think it only helped us, and yeah, it's definitely rare nowadays. But when you do have those types of teams, I mean, those are the teams that typically have a lot of success. Is when you have those senior heavy teams that have been together since the beginning, and that was definitely us.
Absolutely, no question about that. And speaking of a team that you have played with some players on that had some success, I think about the team that I had covered, the 2019-2020 John Jay College men's Bloodhounds basketball team. And Brad kind of partially stole my thunder, which kind of Brad actually owes me for that because I think last week I stole your notes, I think, on one of our shows, so that kind of you evened out on that. So I'll give you that much, Brad. Touche. But there was two players in particular that obviously you played with, and the first one, which I'm going to let Brad maybe talk about in a second, a guy that he matched up with, which was a guy Doug Levy. And Doug Levy, I mean, really one of the more interesting stories of anybody I've covered in my career. I'm doing this 4.5 years, and here's a guy that basically nobody knew what to expect from. Goes to John Jay, basically is a walk-on player, goes on there and becomes arguably maybe the greatest player in the school's history, goes out there and scores 1,200 plus points, 1,000 plus rebounds, up there in all the school's categories, even plays a little bit professionally, which from CUNY to play pro is just very rare, although his teammate Jason Brower is still actually playing in Puerto Rico. But that's a very, very unique story because his father played. His father was a legendary player, and he was actually a walk-on, had a cup of coffee at LaSalle. So that's kind of an asterisk. But Doug Levy, who is now also at Northwestern, he's the operations director there, if I'm not mistaken, and just a very, very unique story. So, I mean, Gordon, I mean, I'll let Brad chime in a second. I mean, talk to me about Doug Levy. And, I mean, did you see this one coming? Because, I mean, I've gotten to know him. I watched him play. And I don't know if anybody saw a situation like this, but you knew him out in Smithtown West. So you saw something that Ryan Highland probably saw. I mean, a lot of other people did. So, I mean, talk about what that experience was like in playing with the Doug Levy.
Yeah, the answer is no, not really. And that's not a knock on Doug.
He
Just
was like,
no.
what do you average? 9 points a game for you guys? I'm serious. I don't
So
even think he scored 10 points a game in high school. Brad was a way better player in high school. I'm being serious.
So I always joke with Doug when I see him because me and Doug, we started playing together in middle school. Doug was in 8th grade, I was in 7th. And in 7th grade, you have to imagine I was like under 5 foot, probably not even 100 pounds. And Doug was, not obviously not as big as he is now, but was bigger than most kids at that age. And the joke is that I averaged more rebounds a game than Doug did in middle school, and I was,
No, it's a fair
I
point.
was not even half his size. So then going from that to then, being on the high school team together. He was on the team his junior and senior year. I was on the team sophomore, junior, and senior year. So we had 2 years there together. His junior year didn't really play a lot, and then senior year he ends up starting for us the whole year. Gave us big minutes. Had a very good year, and then he starts getting recruited by John Jay. And I'm figuring, Doug's gonna have a nice solid career. Maybe he can work his way into the rotation and have a little bit of success and maybe earn some PT. And the next thing you know, Doug's killing it. He's dominating everyone in the CUNY. He's the player of the year. And I'm just looking at him like, I'm still baffled by it, but it's a testament to how hard he worked. And, I got to give him a lot of credit. Like you said, it's a very unique story because, he was, I might say he was bad, but he wasn't like CUNY player of the
year. I interviewed him. I had him on 3 times, and it was like, this was a guy that in high school, I mean, Brad was well known in high school. I mean, you obviously were known, for different reasons, but this, Doug, no disrespect to Doug, but nobody saw this story where he goes on to be CUNYAC player of the year and he gets national votes and he goes on to be this guy that, people start paying attention to, where he even gets to play in Israel and he's now in Northwestern. Who would have saw this coming?
No, I don't think any of us really did. But again, it's a testament to him. But yeah, it's wild to me. Like even his jump from junior to senior year of high school, I thought was huge. And then like his jump from senior year of high school and then freshman year of college and sophomore year of college was insane. And following from afar, I was stunned. But again, huge credit to him for all the work he put in over the years. But yeah, Doug Levy is he's one of the really good stories of like just basketball, of like more of the, obviously you have the great stories, the Division I level, the blue chip prospects, but like those are the real stories, the realistic stories for people around here, like that they should look at. Like Doug Levy, I think he got cut from his JV team like both years and CUNY player of the year.
And I think a story awesome, like Doug is that's one of those stories. I mean, to have played professionally and where he is, and Brad, we used to joke a lot about you and Doug, and obviously Doug has gone to the big league, so Doug has certainly gone out there, and he's way bigger than all of us put together. But I mean, anything you want to share about those experiences with Doug for Gordon? Because obviously you matched up with him a little bit there when John Jay and St. Joe's would have that one game a year, and just hearing some of those things, and it's we haven't spoke about Doug in a long time, but to hear that, I mean, from somebody like Gordon, I think it kind of strengthens maybe the kind of work that actually Doug had put in, and maybe for any basketball player out there, maybe should kind of take note.
Yeah, absolutely. And the crazy part is obviously for me personally, I mean, I never saw that Doug Levy. I only saw the one that had all the success.
You saw the rah-rah and everybody, the glitz and the glory.
Because listen, when we first played each other, and he was a good player, and you could see him getting better and kind of adding more to his game. But you never really thought of what Gordon just described him as in high school, as a guy that really just wasn't, you could never even see it. Like when I was playing, you could see that he was a good player. And again, just the ascension that he made over the years. He added a great perimeter jump shot.
He was a great jump shooter. He was a great jump shooter.
He added a nice, spin move and a nice, footwork around the rim. He was a tough guy to guard. I mean, it was tough to, play inside out with him. It was tough, even when you thought you had him, he would make a nice move to his other hand and shoot over you. Like, he really made it tough. And defensively also, I mean, you saw kind of early on, maybe not the most fleet of foot, maybe they're not the most, athletic defender you'll see out there. And then over the years, I thought he really improved defensively, moving his feet, guarding pick and rolls, doing things like that. And like we said, resulted in Player of the Year, many different accomplishments. But again, I had a lot to say on Doug when we spoke about him in the past, about how much I really respected his game and how much he really improved and showed over the years. Because if there was that most improved player too, I would have given it to him as well, because he was a guy that just really improved drastically every year and just made it more and more difficult, right, to guard him and go against him. And I consider him one of the best big men I played in Division III, even with the Skyline. We played some tall, athletic big men, but they weren't as skilled as Doug Levy, who really showed a lot of the skills. So, it was just awesome. And to hear that he went overseas from CUNY, like you said, Tom, was a big accomplishment for not only him, but obviously that CUNYAC conference that really doesn't get that.
They desperately need that. I mean, him and Jason Brower,
props to him, and also props to the coaching staff at John Jay that does a great job. Obviously led by Ryan Highland, who we know from the show. Yes. And he's one of the best out there as well. So shout out to John Jay. But again, all the credit in the world goes to Doug. He did a terrific job. He put the work in, and not only on the court, but with his body in the weight room. And he became a fantastic player and is now going to be a fantastic coach as well.
Yeah, and before I bring Gordon in, that reminds me of when I remember speaking with Doug. I think the first time he came on, this is even well before you came on the radio, Brad, and he talked about the transformation he made from his body that freshman year at John Jay to where that last year where you saw this guy and you kind of saw the body he made himself into, and then what he was able to do inside and outside, and really made himself a special kind of player again, really rarefied air in the modern history of CUNY. I think about obviously some of the guys that are playing at Lehman right now, and certainly York. We have a player coming on next week, Divine Chills, both you guys I know played against. But, very few players I could think of have done what Doug did. Doug also was a part of the NCAA All-Star team during junior year. It's senior year that played overseas. So that's certainly great accomplishments there. Congratulations for Doug. But we're the small people on a pod there with that. But, another player, Gordon, that I